Okay, so yeah, I got to talk real briefly about the controversy of people expecting Ebony K to date down, to settle, and it speaks to several things. And so Umar hit a great point in terms of the whole talented 10th bourgeoisie mentality of a bunch of black folks. Because there's a bunch of black folks that, well, there's a group of black folks that think they're better than other black folks because they've been accepted and they've achieved a certain level of status within somebody else's society. So, which is ridiculous, especially if you're. It makes more sense for somebody like a Candace Owens to buy into that nonsense than somebody like an Ebony K who purports or pretends to be pro-black or like in support of black people. Yeah, because she does. But now, if you're like just completely divorced and divested yourself away from the black community, then that type of mentality is actually at least consistent. It's at least consistent with the way you've chosen. But for the folks that are like trying to act like they're pro-black and simultaneously complaining about a white supremacist system, and then basing their value and having this mindset that they have a heightened value because they've been accepted and achieved a certain level of status within this aforementioned white supremacist system. Like, how does that make any sense? Like, that's, and he used the talented 10th analogy, which is one of the things I was thinking of. I was also thinking of the whole house Negro, because the person in the house thinks that they're better than those who are working the field. Because that's the mentality a lot of people that are on her side of the issue are bringing to the table. So, and Cynthia G is because what Cynthia G claims to want black men to do is inconsistent with Cynthia G's current position. So Cynthia G's claim that she wants black men to be builders, to be, focused on building our own, is inconsistent with looking down upon blue collar. Like, what? Like, do you know what build means? And it also demonstrates that she just doesn't know what she's talking about, because she talks about these nothing ass jobs, and so the funny thing is, a lot of people clearly don't know what they're talking about. Now, some people just don't know, but a lot of people don't know what they're talking about, because a lot of people are offering these just off the wall commentary on the subject, and they didn't do the basic research, because like Google is free. So I put a poll on my channel of how much do you think a bus driver can make in New York City, and I specifically said New York City. So I made this very easy. Somebody commented that their a family member of theirs was pulling in over $90,000 as a bus driver in New York City. So they had personal knowledge. But even if you don't know anybody who's a bus driver, you can just Google MTA bus driver salary, and that will show you that bus driver starts today $26 an hour. That's $26.42. $26.42 an hour. Healthcare, like a whole range of benefits. In their 5th year, I think they're making $36 an hour. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. But like I said, it's all there on Google. That's just the 5th year. So if somebody's doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, that's not a nothing salary. But like Cynthia G talking about, nobody wants to be a bus driver. Once again, this speaks to a level, because back when I was working at Cinderella, I'm a packer. One brother who's a butcher, and he leaves, like when he's about to leave, he's like, "Oh yeah, I got a job at the MTA driving the bus," because we know that is better. Because and by the way, like I said, I was a packer. He's a butcher, so he was making significantly more than I was making. But still, MTA was better than that. But like a lot of this criticism, a lot of this commentary is not based on actual results, on actual income. It's based on appearances, status. We're dealing with a bunch of people that are just wildly immature and still consumed with appearances and image. And that's what they don't like about blue collar. They don't like the image of it. So you've got these chicks that will look down on blue collar workers that are actually making more than them, literally. But because these dudes wear uniforms and get their uniforms dirty, whereas they get to wear, slacks and dresses and skirts and dress up to go to work, they don't actually know how much these dudes are actually making and how these dudes have full health care. Like, I don't work for the MTA. My father worked for the MTA. One of my brothers worked for the MTA. My father retired from the MTA. He wasn't even a bus driver. He was a token clerk, which would now be considered a station agent. Because this was back in the day when there were still tokens when he started working. In fact, my father was an accountant. I remember the day he left his accounting job to go to work for the MTA. We went down to his job. He was saying goodbye to all the people that he worked with, getting the last stuff from his office. And once again, because if you actually know, you know that the impression is different from the reality. But like I said, you're dealing with a lot of people that are unserious and are looking down on blue collar jobs because they don't know any better. Not because they don't know any better, because they don't actually know anything. They haven't actually done research. They're not actually speaking from the knowledge of what these jobs pay and what's all associated with these jobs. They just see somebody had the nerve on one of these channels to talk about plumbers. Like, what? Did you just try to shit on plumbers? Like, it shows just absolute idiocy, because people don't realize, number one, like, plumbers, it's a very skilled position. And you don't understand how much union plumbers make. Like, just no knowledge of how much, like, there's every year there's a entry point for people to get into the plumbers union, and tens of thousands of people apply. I think they have like 1,000 spots they give out, but you will see lines around the block because of how many people are trying to get into the plumbers union, because of how good it is. Like, the money they make, so of course the benefits, but on top of the benefits, the money they make is just, you have no idea. But the people that are trying to mock these skilled laborers, blue collar jobs, don't have a clue what they're talking about. They have no fucking clue. Case in point, back to me working at Cinderella. I think I was one of the lowest paid people at the job, right? I'm a packer, which means I just stock shelves. So I'm there approaching a year, and I hadn't gotten a raise yet, so I didn't even ask for a raise. What I asked for was a transfer to a different area, so that I knew, of course, if I get to that area, I'm going to make more. But I'm like, I'm not just going to ask for more money. I'm going to ask to do something that you may consider more value, so that I can get a higher wage. And the owner's daughter, like my immediate supervisors, they all supported me. The owner's daughter, she's the vice president of the company. She was like, she didn't see somebody doing what I was doing, just basically stocking shelves, being able to go to customer service. She was like, I'd like to see you do something else first. And once again, it's that mentality that exists of looking down on blue collar workers. Okay, cool. So, meantime, as soon as that answer I get, because I already had seen them slow walking me in terms of, I started training at other departments, training in fish, training in prepared foods, training in dispatch. So I'm doing the circle, all these different departments I'm getting the training in. But I see that I'm not actually getting sent to the customer service where I was trying to get. So I'm reaching my feelers out, get a call from one of my old bosses who lets me know he's got a position opening up in 32BJ union. Not working for the union, but as a member of the union, as a residential building porter. So once I, put in my paperwork and everything, so by the way, at the time, I was, like I said, I was one of the lowest paid people, if not the lowest paid person at the job. I was only making $10 an hour. I know another packer that had started at the exact same time as me that was actually making $1 more than me. But what happens is, once I get put in my resume and everything, go to the interview, I get the job. Okay, I tell Cinderella, hey, here's my 2 weeks notice. So after I get my 2 weeks notice, now HR is trying to reach out to me like, hey, before you go, let's talk. Because now that, okay, we see he's serious, he wants to advance, so let's put him into customer service. So she, the HR department, had asked me how much I'm going to be making at my new job. Once I tell her what I'm starting at the new job, she's like, wait, that's more than you'd be making in customer service. I'm like, yeah. But that's just what people don't realize, that there's these blue collar jobs and people have no idea how much and how well some of these blue collar jobs can pay. Now, ownership, I'm a huge advocate for it and I promote it. But once again, there's this stigma and this sense that people have that they're better, they're too good for either doing blue collar jobs or being with somebody who's a blue collar worker. And I just can't take these people seriously because you're a child at this point. You have the mentality of a child because you're worried about what, like that high school shit of, oh, what, I don't want people to see me doing this. It's beneath me. And I realize, like, no, as adults, we got responsibilities. And the dude that's driving a bus for years to make sure that his family, his wife, his kids, they all have health care because they're all under his insurance from his job, to make sure everybody's taken care of and he can save money, staff money, do overtime, like he's handling his business. How is that a loss? How is that a hardworking man who's handling his business, taking care of his responsibilities, taking care of his bills, his family's bills? Like, how are you actually going to fix your mouth to look down upon this type of man as nothing? So, like, Cynthia G says a lot of stupid shit, but this is, like, she's reaching new heights of stupidity, I guess, to appease the bitter broads in her audience. That's all I got for right now. As always, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, like, share, subscribe. See you next time.